Hello, everybody. This is Sharonda again, and this is my podcast, Spiritual Sense. It is October the 26th. It's a Tuesday, and today's episode is entitled "Renewing of the Spirit." I'm also going to touch bases on and do an update on a episode that I did when I mentioned about the Jesus agenda. I'm going to touch on topics such as the movement. I feel a movement in the agnostic belief as well as atheist belief that I think is gaining um, power and force nationwide as well as worldwide. So I will proceed. So, in speaking about renewing of the spirit, once you have went through things and you received a spiritual epiphany from God, or whatever you call your supreme being. Some people refer to him as Jehovah, Jesus, Jireh, Allah, or whomever you consider your spiritual uh, supreme being be to you. Um, there's going to come a time that you're going to go through a crossroads in life where you may begin to question everything in life. Is it real? What is this? What am I dealing with? And once you go through that understanding, you will know that you are in a we are in a spiritual warfare. As I mentioned before, that's no secret. I think everybody knows that. But once you have received that epiphany, you will understand that this is the renewing of the spirit. Things that you once knew you would no longer believe, or once believe you will no longer believe, and you will fall away from those things you once believed. So as it is mentioned, when I became an adult, I no longer, and I don't know I don't know the verse verbatim right now, but when I moved from a child, I became an adult, and I no longer wanted to what do childish things. I put away those childish things. So in a sense, it's the same analysis or analogy. Once you begin to mature and come into your own, certain things won't even phase you anymore. Certain things become old. Certain things becomes redundant. Like you will no longer have the desire to even entertain certain things, certain activities, certain notions in life. It won't even matter anymore. As attractive and as, you know, thrill seeking as it can be, it will no longer matter to you anymore. That's how you would know that you have made a transition in the spirit. These things no longer matter to me anymore. It no longer what phase me anymore. It's no longer relevant. It's no longer important to me anymore. And when you begin to speak to people that is of your same age group, or particularly a social group or what have you, who are still on those things, it will behoove you, to say the least. Are you still on this stuff? Because I'm not phased by that anymore. Are you still singing those same songs? Because I don't want to listen to those songs anymore. Are you still talking about those same things? Because I no longer even entertain the notion of those things no longer. And so once God has what? Put you in circumstances where You had to see things, like to see your way out of things from a different perspective. And that's how you would know this is the change of life as we know it. This is the renewing of the spirit. So as I mentioned, when I did a couple of episodes on my tarot card reading a couple of days ago, I should say, and I mentioned that I felt like the reading was a spiritually led reading. It was something relevant and important and pertinent that I should discuss and get out. And oftentimes, when I do my tarot card reading, it's just for entertainment purposes. But then there's times where I feel like it is an urgency that I do this reading. I'm compelled to do this reading. It's something relevant in doing this reading. That was one of those times. And so I mentioned in that tarot card reading that I felt like there was a underground secret society of a powerful movement in regards to the agnostic, that's agnostic, agnostic as well as atheist movement right now. And for those of you, because I didn't know what agnostic was until a number of years ago. I had heard it, but I really didn't give much thought to it. Agnostic is when a person don't know what to believe in terms of spirituality and a God, as we've been told. Atheist is when someone doesn't associate with no particular gods. Everything is scientific based, scientific evidence, objectively, so to speak. Now, I myself, I'll be one to admit, I don't believe everything that I hear. I don't. I think most people are like that. Don't believe everything that we hear. But what is popular and what most people believe, I believe to the contrary. I honestly do. And what I mean by that is, I don't consider myself agnostic. I don't consider myself atheist. But I feel like if you want to describe how I feel in terms of a lot of the principles and practices of a lot of the religious organizations and social justices and things like that, you may want to say, okay, well, if you think on it in a different aspect of it, yeah, that's essentially what they mean. Because I've been told religion is man. Religion is man. Man came up with religion. And so that's why I don't, affiliate myself with no particular group. You know, I visited several different churches and things of that nature. I consider myself spiritual. That means I do believe in a supreme being called God, is what I believe. I also believe that God, as we know him, is not the same God as I've been described in younger years, in the church and, from relatives and, colleagues and things like that. So that's why I consider myself spiritual. I don't really like to typecast what you would call it. Some people may say agnostic. I just say, from what my eyes has physically seen and things that I've experienced, I honestly would tell you, I feel like it's one and the same, to be honest with you. I do. And what I mean by that is, um, I believe he tests us. I believe that you will be tested in this life experience and in this journey. And it is still him. And so I did a podcast on a tarot reading. I want to say it was either last week or the week before last. I woke up out of my sleep And this was before I did the tarot card reading in regards to the 7 industries of deception. Okay, so I woke up out of my sleep and it kept saying two-headed snake, two-headed snake, two-headed snake, two-headed snake. And I began to think to myself, I need to do a spiritual sense episode on this. Because, God forbid, you could be struck down for mocking God and blasphemy. But I do believe in oppositions. Like I believe, as I did a YouTube channel episode on angels and demons. I did a episode in regards to angels. I did an episode in regards to demons. I did an episode in regards to spirit guides and things of that nature. And I mentioned that I felt as though all demons were what? Were angels. I also mentioned that all angels could be put at their threshold. So essentially, they're one and the same as far as I'm concerned. One and the same. All us operating under the influence and guidance of the Spirit, and that Spirit being of God. And you will be tested, and you will be tempted. And I believe it's the same scenario and synopsis. If I tell you not to do something and you go over there and do it, well, then I'm going to tempt you. And then I'm going to test you. And then as a result, you will suffer the price for it. And so that goes into, my analysis on the Jesus agenda. The Jesus agenda. What is the Jesus agenda? This is something that I have coined. An example. You will be put on display for mockery. Because if I told you not to do something and you chose to do contrary, then you will be what? Typecast, shamed, and stripped of all your human dignity. There's no such thing as this. There's no such thing as that. No one is perfect. And not to get biblical at all, because I don't want people to, a lot of people want to get the Bible and they want to argue. I don't feel no need to argue with nobody. This is what my eyes have come to know, and this is what has been revealed to me. I'm not trying to get nobody to agree with me or not. You believe what you want to believe. This is what I believe. This is what I believe. And so with that being said, not to get too much in depth into the biblical aspects of it, but that's my analysis of the Jesus agenda. As I do, you will be done as well. And it's very two-faced. What I mean by two-faced is this. You will turn on your own self. He will put the spirit in you. You will turn on your own self. And that's where a lot of mental concerns and things of that nature comes from. How we say, oh, she crazy, he crazy. What would make a person do that? He was under influence and guidance of spirits. You are absolutely right. A demonic spirit. And oftentimes when you see someone dealing with demonic spirits, many times it's something not only mentally, but physically going on with that person. So the spirit plays a lot into play with the physical as well as the mental. He would deal with the mind. Once he deals with the mind, then the body will follow suit. This is it. This is how life happens. And if you begin to think about on, one story, because I don't know too many stories of Job and how he was inflicted with, the sores and things like that. And the wife kept, asking him to curse God and, this, that, and the other and all this other stuff. And so I'm not going to go too in depth with that, but I just wanted to be known that going into this 2022, year, it's going to be some hard changes for a lot of people. Like a lot of people are going to be food. I pulled a food card tonight when I did my comprehensive tarot card reading with my three cards. It's going to be a uh some people gonna be food. I'm just gonna put it out there. Those who once thought things was going to be one way, they're going to be food. Like truly food. And when I say those, I'm talking about those persons who was content, those persons who was secure would no longer feel secure anymore. Those people who thought they was sought, they would no longer feel those feelings. They would no longer feel that way. And I'm not trying to wish no ill will on nobody. I'm not. I'm just putting the message out here. Because when something is weighed on me to speak, that's what it is. Plain and simple. Okay? So I'm going to finish up this podcast episode of Spiritual Sense, the renewing of the spirit. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, you're welcome to put them there. Please, no inappropriate questions, comments, or suggestions. As this podcast is optional, like any of my episodes or podcasts are optional, okay? So until then, you have a safe and wonderful day. Good day.